Do you want to live more and work less? Whether your dream is escaping the 9 to 5, experiencing first-class world travel, or earning a monthly 5-figure income, this book can be your blueprint. In his step-by-step guide, Timothy Ferriss explains how he went from $40,000 per year and 80 hours per week to $40,000 per month and 4 hours per week. To learn how also you can lead such a life by being more productive and finding a source of continuous and almost entirely passive income, make sure to watch this video book summary until the end. Imagine someone who is earning $140,000 a year. Let's call him John. He is a friend, his name is Jack, and Jack earns $40,000. Who is richer? Well, on the first sight, John earns 4 times the amount of money Jack earns per year. But what if John would work 60 hours a week while Jack only works 10 hours? If we do the maths, it turns out that John actually makes $45 an hour and Jack makes $75 an hour. But there's another major difference between John and Jack. John lives in London because that's where his job is. He can't live anywhere else because if he did, he wouldn't be able to make that money. But Jack doesn't have to live anywhere. He could be all around the world and still be making that money. So he decided to move to a place where the sun is always shining, just because he loves laying at the beach. On top of that, if Jack goes to a restaurant, it only costs him $10 to eat a fancy and healthy meal. But John has to pay $50 to get the same meal in London. So who is richer now? Most of us work 40 hours a week, or sometimes even more, and most of us are constantly stressed. We're stuck in our job and we need our job. But there is a formula for escaping the 9 to 5, just like Jack and also the author of this book did. The goal is to become a member of the so-called New Rich. The New Rich is a subculture that values mobility and financial freedom over traditional markers of wealth and success. The goal is to become a member of this group who have the freedom to live their lives just as they wish, without being tied down to one place or schedule. To achieve this, we need more freedom and free time, and therefore we need to rethink the traditional 40-hour work week and find ways to automate our income streams. Most people associate with millionaires, extensive travels, and extravagant hobbies, and so on, but essentially these all add up to 2 things: more freedom and more free time. The good news is that nearly everyone can achieve this without having millions in his or her bank account by joining the New Rich. The author himself joined this group after suffering a burnout and taking some time off to travel the world, because he had to take a break, which soon turned out to be a blessing. During this time off, he realized that he could run a business with minimal effort from everywhere. He also understood that with more freedom and more free time, he could be able to do whatever he wants to do, whenever he wants to do it, and from wherever he wants to do it. But neither can be achieved by working a 40-hour week. The formula that will give us all the freedom and free time we wish for is called DEAL formula. D stands for definition, because first and foremost, we must redefine wealth. Money itself is not the end goal. As we have already mentioned, living a life of a millionaire isn't about having millions in our bank account. Remember the example of our 2 friends, John and Jack? Who is the richer? Tim Ferriss states that relative income trumps absolute income. In absolute income, John earns $100,000 more per year than Jack. Once time is introduced to the equation with his $75 per hour, Jack beats John and his $45 per hour. Secondly, we need to redefine what happiness means. According to the author, when people suggest you to follow your passion or your bliss, they are in fact referring to the same singular concept: excitement. Excitement is the more practical synonym for happiness, and it is precisely what you should strive to chase. It is the cure-all. To be truly happy, we should dedicate our time to doing things that excite us. So the question is no longer how we can earn much money, but rather how we can free up much time in which we can do things that excite us. And this is where the second letter in the DEAL formula comes in. Let's enter the world of elimination. We need to eliminate all tasks and activities that don't bring us closer to our personal goal. Therefore, it is essential to understand the difference between being effective versus being efficient. Effectiveness is doing the things that bring us closer to our goal. It is about doing the right things. Efficiency is performing a given task, whether it is important or not, in the most economical manner possible. It is doing things right. Tim Ferriss reminds us that what we do is infinitely more important than how we do it. Efficiency is still important, but it is useless unless it is applied to the right things. Because doing something unimportant well does not make it important. To join the new rich and reach a 4-hour work week, we must focus on effectiveness. It's time to eliminate the activities that are not getting us where we want. Therefore, we'll need to go to the garden and back to the year 1896. Vilfredo Perito, an Italian, was busy harvesting peas in his garden when he made an interesting observation. He noticed that some pea pods had a lot more peas in them than others. He started counting the number of peas in each pea pod and found that 80% of the peas came from only 20% of the pea pods. Pareto's law was born. He used this mathematical formula to demonstrate an uneven but predictable distribution of wealth in society. 80% of the wealth and income was produced and possessed by only 20% of the population. The Pareto distribution is also popularly called the 80-20 principle and states that 80% of the outputs result from 20% of the inputs. 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort and time. 80% of company profits come from 20% of the products and customers. Indeed, the 80-20 principle can be found almost everywhere, even if we often do not notice it. Most employees have to work for 8 hours a day, but about 80% of their activity, like attending meetings or organizing their inbox, is useless. Spending a lot of time working doesn't mean that we are addressing the right tasks. Quite the opposite. The more time we have to complete a task, the more time we will spend on it. This tendency is known as Parkinson's law. It's the idea that work expands to fill the time allotted for its completion. This may mean we take longer than necessary to complete a task, or we procrastinate and complete the task right before the due date. Example, let's say we have 2 days to finish our project. Guess what? We will finish it within 2 days. But if we have 2 weeks for it, most of us will take the entire 2 weeks, all 14 days of it. So it's all about deadlines. To become more productive, let's cultivate the habit of setting short ones. What we also have to do is prioritize the 20% of tasks that will yield 80% of results. Therefore, we need to eliminate all tasks and activities that don't bring us closer to our personal goals. Let's go through our to-do list and for each task, ask ourselves, would I be efficient if this task ends up being the only one I complete today? And if the answer is no, let's think about eliminating the task from our list. The next letter is the A in deal. It stands for automation, but if we are employees, we must first liberate ourselves from the office because L is for liberation. This will not only allow us to work less, it will also enable us to work from anywhere we want. Of course, not everyone can pull off this vanishing act, but for those who can, Tim Ferriss suggests to follow 5 steps that will allow ourselves to gradually disappear from the office. Step 1. We have to increase our investment, our value to the company. Look for courses and additional training available for employees. You want the company to invest as much as possible in you so that the loss is greater if you quit. Step 2. Prove increased output when working remotely. Let's conduct a little test and call in sick for 2 days and say you work from home. On these days, increase your output, which is easy because there aren't any office-related distractions, and keep track of how much work you do with quantifiable records to show the company that you are more productive working remotely. Step 3. Quantify the company benefits. Let's show how productive you've been during these days and emphasize the company benefits that this has to your boss. Step 4. Propose a revocable trial period. Ask the boss for a revocable trial of working remote 2 days per week for 2 weeks. Your fallback plan is 1 day per week if this request is denied. And again, make these days ultra productive. Step 5. Expand your remote time. After a successful trial, all you have to do is slowly increase your away days until you are working from home every day. Considering the added productivity your boss is seeing, this should be possible, and at that point, you can effectively work from everywhere. Now it's finally time for the A in deal, or in DELA if you are an employee. The A stands for automation. If we want to decouple the time we spend working from the money we make, automation is crucial. No matter if we are an employee or an entrepreneur, we must learn to establish automated sources of income that can be maintained from anywhere in the world. Therefore, we must create a business that works without any effort on our part. It should basically run itself. Example, let's say we create a product. Instead of personally managing the distribution of our product, we might partner with a company that can handle distribution. Also, we would need to hire an agency or someone to maintain our website. All we should be doing is stepping in when necessary. So instead of working in the business, we should work on our business. This can be achieved by defining and outsourcing our tasks to other people and becoming the ghost in the machine. Therefore, we have to pay digital assistants, freelancers, or our employees for their work, but the costs will be covered by the profits our products generate for us. This way, we can achieve more freedom and more free time while being able to generate huge profits without paying a lot for it. The best approach to achieve this, according to the author, is by selling a product. But as reselling an existing product comes with smaller profit margins, it's better to design an own product. To find the right product or niche, we don't have to be the greatest experts. All we have to do is outperform our competitors and convince our customers. And before making our product, Ferriss suggests to test the market by asking people to buy it. This is the best and only test. Let's offer our product to actual customers and look how they react. Also, we should be able to summarize the product's purpose in one sentence. Finally, it should make a big promise and deliver on that promise. And maybe one day we will be able to join the new rich. What about you? Do you intend to work less and live more? And do you think the 4-hour work week is desirable? Comment below and be sure to subscribe.